Guten Morgen, everyone. On this week's edition of Mixing It Up, I'm going to teach you how to fool people into thinking you know something about wine. Welcome back, everybody. On this series, we usually make a cocktail or some kind of mixed drink. Sometimes it's an easy one, and sometimes it's not so easy. I think of the smoking Tennessee campfire. That was extra. Today we're not gonna mix anything. I'm just gonna give you some best practices on what to do when you're in a fancy restaurant and somebody expects you to try the wine. Now, maybe you haven't ever been in this situation, but I have, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean. Let's say you're going out to dinner with your girlfriend's parents for the first time. Or let's say some client has taken you out for dinner as a business meeting. Or maybe you're on a date and go to an upcharge restaurant on a cruise ship. Oh, cruise ships, remember those things? And you're trying to impress your girlfriend or boyfriend, and so somebody orders a bottle of wine. That's how this situation always begins. Somebody orders a bottle of wine. If it is a relatively nice restaurant, then what will happen is the waiter will come to the table and open the bottle of wine at the table, pour a tiny bit of wine into a glass for somebody at the table to taste in order to get the approval that that is the wine that you really want to drink. And at this moment right now, if you've been in this situation, please hit that thumbs up button below the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm and that makes me happy. So if you've never been in this situation and you don't know a lot about wine, it can be embarrassing. The first few times it happened to me, I had no idea what to do, and I felt like an idiot. But I've done a little bit of research. I'm an actor. I can pretend. And after watching some experts, I've come up with a couple things that you can do in this situation to not only fool people into thinking that you know something about wine, but impress or confuse them so much that they'll leave you alone. All you're gonna need is a red wine glass and a bottle of red wine. The rules that we're going to talk about here are strictly for red wine. When it comes to white wine, I have no idea. Maybe you can do these same things with a glass of white wine. Try it out and let me know how it goes. So the waiter's going to come to the table with a bottle of wine and pour just a little bit into the glass like this. Hold the bottle for you to inspect and then wait for your approval. These are certain things you can do in order to fool them or confuse them so much that they'll just go away. First of all, notice something about the label. Usually, it'll say something about where the wine is from. If they do present the bottle to you, make some comment about the label like, oh, the Manduria Reserva. Oh, fond memories of that place. Do you know where that is? I don't. Is the waiter gonna ask you? Probably not. Then, a very, very important thing that you need to do to fool people into thinking you know what's going on is swirl the wine around in the glass. Be careful, you don't wanna spill it. It takes a little bit of practice. I'm talking about doing this. If you don't trust yourself to do this without it slipping over the top of the glass, then put it down on the table and draw little circles. You want to make, sort of like a whirlpool so that the wine goes up the sides and then starts dripping down. And that's what they call legs. Once you do that, then what you should do is look at how it's dripping back down. And then you can also make some sort of a random, confusing comment about that as well. Legs for days. Or, to be even more confusing, just look at it and look back at the waiter without saying anything. The reason that experts swirl the wine around in the glass is to make it take up more surface area, to get more air into the wine more quickly, and the next thing you always want to do then is smell it. You really want to get your nose deep into that glass. This actually smells pretty good. So by swirling it around, you amplify the amount of particles of wine in the glass that are gonna end up in your nose. This may or may not be a good time for another confusing statement. Brad, is that you? We're gonna leave it there and move on to the color. When you tip the glass like this, it thins out in this part of the glass like this. You want to try to get it like as thin as possible because you're supposed to look at the edge and compare the color in the middle where it's like a lot of wine to the edge where it's really thin. So if there's a white tablecloth or you have a white napkin, you want to get that in the background of it. If you just hold it up like this or like that and there's, all sorts of random background, nobody's gonna buy that you know what's going on. So find something white and tip your glass and look at the edge. I can see here that it's a dark red color and that it's semi-transparent and that the edge is quite a bit lighter than the middle. What does that mean? I don't know. But people who know a lot about wine do, and they always look at it. After you've tilted the wine as far as it will go and looked at the color, then it's time for another smell and to finally take a swig. I mean, a delicate sip. While you take your first sip, you're supposed to take a little bit more than usual actually, so swig might be a good description. And you're not supposed to swallow it right away. You're supposed to like smoosh it all around in your mouth like it's mouthwash. Let me try it again. Smoosh it all around. You want to do that to get as much wine on all the parts of your mouth, your tongue, your teeth, your gums as possible because that is part of the entire wine tasting experience. A sweet wine, you'll notice more of it on the front of your tongue. If it's a drier wine, you'll notice it on the middle and the sides of your tongue. And then more of like an oaky, like berry flavored wine, you'll taste that more at the back of your tongue. So those are all things you can comment on if you want to be very direct and speak about the actual flavor of the wine. However, that's a possible way to really blow your cover. If this is a wine that's famous for tasting like oak, and you're like, I'm tasting pine needles. That's why my advice is just say something completely random that has nothing to do with the flavor directly. I'm gonna give you some examples here, so get a pen and paper and write these down. Ooh, sassy. I get it. I swear, by the moon and the light and the stars. Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Who needs a gin tonic? This was grown close to a field of daisies. Wow. My grandmother, she would understand this wine. I've been to Disney World, but they didn't have something like this, so I'm all for it. Go ahead. When you're walking through the forest and you find a little stream and there's like one rock in the middle of this stream and you just need to have it, that's what this wine is like to me. Oh, long hair and red lips. Yeah, now I understand. California. Oh, that is surprisingly slow. Air and pebbles, little soft pillow. Ooh, I didn't go to college for 4 years for nothing. Pour it in. My favorite song from ABBA is Summer Night City, and This is a Summer Night City. By saying something like that, there's no way anybody is going to be able to understand you or continue the conversation, so that waiter is just gonna fill up the glass, go back to the kitchen, and probably gossip about you behind your back, but hey, at least you got out of the situation. I hope this video helped you, and as always, I'm gonna take this glass of wine, set up the camera in front of the blue sofa, and on this week's edition of Drink and Discuss, I'm gonna tell you about how much money YouTube pays you for 10,000 clicks. See you there!